Hello friends, welcome to another module of this program. Today, in this module we will talk about what is host header injection and what is URL redirection. So first of all, let's talk about what is host header attack, host header injection or host header poisoning. Basically, it is a common practice for the same web server to host several websites or web application on the same IP address. That's why the host header exists. The host header specifies which website or web application should process an incoming HTTP request. The web server uses the value of this header to dispatch the request to the specified website or web application. And this attack can be exploited using web cache poisoning or by abusing alternative channel like password reset email. Now let's learn what are all the possible methods via which we can execute host header injection and what are the steps to reproduce it. The first we'll talk about changing host header. First of all, you need to find URL having status code of 200 series or 300 series. In burp suite, you can do it by intercepting the request and sending it to spider. Then after that, search the link which is having the status code of 200 and 300 series. Then send this to repeater, and in repeater what you need to do, you need to change the host from testphp.vulnerweb.com to some other website on which you want the website to redirect, maybe xyz.com, and if it gets redirected and didn't give any error, then host header poisoning exists over there. But in many cases it has happened that after changing the host, the website gets redirected and didn't give the error, but when we check the response in the browser, there is no sign of the redirection cause the website is not redirecting from this link to this link. So over there, host header injection has not been executed. It can happen maybe because web application firewall is blocking this method. In that case, we use the second method, and that is adding X forwarded host. In this case, what we do, we add X forwarded host and write the name of the website like this. And in this case, if it gets redirected and shows the response on the browser of redirection, then in that case we can say this method has been successfully executed. But if web browser is unable to show the redirection, then in that case host header has not been implemented. There is one more method via which we perform host header injection, and that is swapping X forwarded host. In this case, what we do, we swap host with X forwarded host. As you can see over here, testphp.vulnerweb.com has been written in X forwarded, which was a part of host, and host has been written as xyz.com, which was part of X forwarded. So we have swapped both of these. Now let's talk about what is web cache poisoning attack. So basically it is a technique that is used by an attacker to manipulate a web cache to serve poison content to anyone who requests pages. And for this to occur, an attacker would need to poison a caching proxy run by the site itself, or maybe by downstream providers, or maybe by CDNs. CDNs stand for Content Delivery Network. Or we can use other caching mechanism in between the client and the server. The cache will then serve the poison content to anyone who requests it, with the victim having no control on whatsoever on the malicious content being served to them. Also, now let's talk about how we can reset password via host header. So in this, we need to generate a secret token and send an email with a link containing this token. Just imagine what could happen if an attacker requests a password reset with an attacker controlled host header. If the web application make use of the host header value when composing this link, when creating this link, then an attacker can poison the password link that is sent to the victim. And if the victim clicks on the poisoned link, then the attacker will obtain the password reset token and will go ahead and reset the victim's password. And unfortunately, he or she will get a hold of the victim's account. So that's what happened in password reset poisoning. Now let's talk about what is URL redirection. Basically, URL redirections are possible when a web application accepts untrusted input, and by modifying these untrusted input, we can redirect to a malicious website. So in that case, an attacker may successfully launch a phishing scam or steal user credentials. You must be wondering how we can hunt for URL redirections. You just need to find a URL parameter having some kind of tendency to redirect somewhere. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this module. Today we are going to perform a live practical of host header injection on this website, that is yammer.com. So let's first turn on our intercept of burp suite and let's capture the request. This is not a request. Let's forward this one. This is the request which we need to capture. Let's right click and send it to repeater. Over here, first let's check the response. The response is okay. Now let's change our host to bing.com and see if we are able to redirect to bing.com. The response is okay. Now let's search Bing. We are able to find 35 matches over here. As you can see, the domain is equal to bing.com. Now let's right click, show response in browser and copy the response. Let's turn off the intercept and paste our response over here. As you can see over here, we have been redirected to bing.com. So host header injection exists over here. Now let's try other method of testing HHI, that is host header injection. Let's change it to yammer.com and add one more header, that is X forwarded host, where we will use bing.com as our host. Let's click go. The response is okay, but unfortunately we are not able to see any Bing search over here. Let's check the response in browser. Right click, show response in browser, copy this. So it is showing the same website, that is yammer.com. No problem, let's try another method, that is swapping X forwarded host with the original host. Let's change the host to bing.com. As you can see, again we are able to see 35 matches. So I believe host header exists in this case as well. Let's check the response over here. Let's paste and go. So as you can see that we are able to perform host header injection in this website. So that's how we perform HHI via 3 methods. So that's all for today. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this module. Today in this tutorial we are going to see live practical of URL redirection on sony.com. So I have over here the vulnerable link. As you can see over here, I have already input the website, that is google.com over here, and paste it in the address bar. As you can see over here, we have been redirected to google.com. Now let's change the website from google.com to, let's say, bing.com. So we over here you can see we have changed the website to bing.com, and now let's hit enter. We have been redirected to bing.com. Now let's check one more time, trying some other website. Now let's go to microsoft.com. As you can see, now we have been redirected to microsoft.com. So this vulnerability exists in this website. So that's how we perform URL redirection. Thanks for watching this video. Hello friends, welcome to another module of this program. In this module we will talk about what are client-side attacks. So first of all, let's understand what are sessions and what are cookies. So cookie is a packet of information sent from the server to the client, means sent from the server to the user and then sent back to the server each time it is accessed by the user. Cookies are transferred between server and user according to HTTP. Cookies can also be thought of as a ticket used to identify clients and their orders. Cookies are text files stored on the client computer and they are kept for various information tracking purposes. Server script sends a set of cookies to the browser, for example name, age or identification number, etc. The browser stores this information on a local machine for future use. When next time browser sends any request to web server, then it sends those tickets. Then it sends those cookies information to the server and server use that information to identify the user. Also, one of the best advantage of cookies is their persistence. When a cookie is set on the client's browser or on the user's browser, it can persist for days, months or years. This makes it easier to save user preferences and visit information. The cookies are stored on the client's hard disk, so if the server crashes, the cookies are still available. And they not only remember which website you have been to, they also remember the information about forms. They can fill out the address forms quick and efficient. Most online shopping websites allow the cookies for the address and email information, but they make you fill out your credit card information each time, because over there cookies are not saved. Now let's talk about what are sessions. You can store user information like username, item selected, etc. in the server side for later use using PHP sessions. Sessions work by creating a UID, that is unique identification, for each visitor and storing variables based on this UID. The UID is either stored in a cookie or is propagated in the URL. A session creates a file in a temporary directory on the server where registered sessions variables and their values are stored. This data will be available to all pages on the site during that website. A session ends when the user closes the browser or after leaving the site. The server will terminate the session after a predetermined period of time, commonly 30 minutes duration. One of the biggest advantage of session is that we can store any kind of object in it. Example, database, dataset, etc. By using session, we don't need to worry about data collapse because it stores every client data separately. Session is secure and transparent from the user. Now, let's see our first attack, and that is session fixation attack. It is an attack that permits an attacker to hijack a valid user session. That's why this attack is also known as session hijacking. The attack explores a limitation in the way the web application manages the session ID, more specifically the vulnerable web application. When authenticating a user, it doesn't assign a new session ID, making it possible to use an existing session ID. The attack consists of obtaining a valid session ID, example, by connecting to the application, inducing a user to authenticate himself with that session ID, and then hijacking the user validated session, means which has been validated by the user, by the client, by the knowledge of use session ID. The attacker must provide a legitimate web application session ID and try to make the victim's browser use it. So this is how we perform session hijacking. Let's see an example for the same in a testing environment. So these are some of the most common techniques. Session token in the URL argument. The session ID is sent to the victim in a hyperlink and the victim accesses the site through the malicious URL. Session token in a hidden form field. In this method, what happens? The victim must be tricked to authenticate in the target web server using a login form developed for the attacker. The form could be hosted in the evil web server or directly in HTML formatted email. That's another way. The third way is session ID in a cookie. HTTP header response. This method explores the server response to fix the session ID in the victim's browser, including the parameter set cookie in the HTTP header response. The attacker is able to insert the value of session ID in the cookie and send it to the victim's browser. Now, let's see an example for the same in our testing environment. So, thank you for watching this tutorial. Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this module. In this tutorial, we will talk about what is forced browsing. Forced browsing is an attack where the aim is to enumerate and access resources that are not referenced by the application, but those references are still accessible. An attacker can use brute force technique to search for unlinked content in the domain directory, such as temporary directories and files and old backups and configuration files. These resources may store sensitive information about web application and operational system, such as source code, credentials, internal network addressing, and so on, thus being considered a valuable resource for intruders. If the intruder get the access to these files, he or she can even get a hold of the whole website. This attack is performed manually when the application index directories and pages are based on number generation or predictable values, or using automated tools for common files and directory names. This attack is also known as predictable resource location, file enumeration, directory enumeration, and resource enumeration. So a scanning tool like Nikto has the ability to search for existing files and directories based on a database of well-known resources such as system files, passwords, logs, admins, tests. So it will search, it will brute force all these files and give us the result. These will be those files which are not referenced by the web application but are still accessible. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this module. In this tutorial, we will learn about what is CSRF. CSRF stands for Cross-Site Request Forgery. It is an attack that forces an end user to execute unwanted action on a web application in which they are currently authenticated. So over here, let's also understand what is the difference between authentication and authorization. First of all, authentication confirms your identity to grant access to the system, whereas authorization determines whether you are authorized to access the resources or not. In authentication, it validates user's credential to gain user access, but in authorization, it verifies whether you are allowed to access those resources or not. Also, authentication determines whether user is what he claims to be or not. But in authorization, it determines whether user can or cannot access a resource. Basically, authentication requires a username and a password, but authorization depends upon various security levels. And yes, authentication is the first step of authorization because authorization is done after successful authentication. Let me give you an example. You might be a student of a particular university where you are required to authenticate before accessing library. But in authorization, so let me give you an example for the same. You might be a student of a particular university where you are required to authenticate yourself to access library. But in library, you don't have the authorization to go through all the sections. There are some restricted areas where you're not allowed to go. So over here, you're not authorized to go to those sections. So that was about authorization and authentication. Now, CSRF attacks specifically target state-changing requests. Means there is no theft of data since the attacker has no way to see the response to the forged request. With a little help of social engineering, such as sending a link via email or via chat, an attacker may trick the user of a web application into executing actions of the attacker's choosing. If the victim is a normal user, a successful CSRF attack can force the user to perform state-changing requests like transfer funding, changing their email address, and so forth. If the victim is an administrative account, CSRF can compromise the entire web application. So, under the pretext of doing something else, the victim ends up getting trapped and perform state-changing requests. So in our next tutorial, we will see a demo how to perform CSRF in our testing environment. So thank you for watching this tutorial.
Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this program. Today in this tutorial we will talk about how to perform CSRF attack in our testing environment. So let's see an example. So over here, go to CSRF. Now enter the password. Let's enter 123 as our new password and click change. As you can see over here, this website is using get based request. That's why the password has been displayed over here, and that is 123. Now let's log out and check whether if we are able to log in with the new password or not. We are successfully able to log in with the new password. Now let's change our password to 1234, and this time let's intercept this request and generate CSRF POC. So I will turn on the intercept and change password. So as you can see, the burp suite has intercepted our request and the password is 1234. Now right click over here and go to engagement tool and generate CSRF POC. You have to copy this HTML code. Click copy HTML. Go to notepad and over here paste the copied HTML code. Save this file with HTML extension. Let's give it a name CSRF with HTML extension. Hit save. Now turn off your intercept. As you can see over here, your new password is 1234. So if we log in again, we have to type 1234 as our new password. Now let's change again our password to QWERTY. Hit change. Now the password is QWERTY. To check whether this site has CSRF vulnerability or not, let's open the file which we have saved in our laptop. And yes, remember this thing, you have to open the file in the same browser where you have logged in into your account. For example, over here I am using Firefox, so I will right click this file and open with Firefox. In some cases it might ask for submit request, and if it's not asking, that's also not a problem. Now the password has been changed to 1234. So as I change it to QWERTY, it has been overridden and the new password is 1234. So if I log out and enter QWERTY, it won't log in. It will say login failed because we have successfully performed CSRF attack. Now let's log in with 1234. And voila, we have successfully logged in into our account. So this ensures that CSRF vulnerability exists over here. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this tutorial.
Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this module. In this tutorial, we will talk about what is Open Redirection Vulnerability. An open redirection vulnerability is when a web application or server uses a user-submitted link to redirect the user to a given website or page. Even though it seems like a harmless action to let a user decide on which page he wants to be redirected to, if exploited, such a technique can have a serious impact, especially when combined with other vulnerabilities and tricks. An attacker can construct a URL within the application that causes a redirection to an arbitrary external domain. Over here, external domain refers to the website on which the attacker wants the user to be redirected. This behavior can be leveraged to facilitate phishing attacks against users of the application. The impacts can be many and vary from theft of information and credentials to the redirection to malicious websites containing attackers' controlled content, which in some cases even causes XSS attack. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Hello friends, welcome to another tutorial of this module. In this tutorial, we will talk about what is personally identifiable information leakage, which is also known as PII. Many websites show information of users like their full names, email, PAN card details. Such information is called personally identifiable information or PII. It is the information that can be used to identify a person. While information like full names may not be used to point out one person specifically, but information such as Aadhaar card or PAN card can be used to exactly point out the person, and such information is considered highly critical. Such information shouldn't be available for others to see, since people may track you down using it and then can socially hack you. So whenever a website fails to protect PII, it is called PII leakage. There are two reasons for PII. First, the application has vulnerability like IDOR, which we have discussed earlier, that was insecure direct object reference or SQL injection, directory listing, etc. The application doesn't realize that it is storing PII properly and leakage PII as a feature of some sort. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Now, let's see what is sensitive information disclosure. Information disclosure is when an application fails to properly protect sensitive and confidential information from parties that are not supposed to have access to the subject matter in normal circumstances. These type of issues are not exploitable in most cases, but are considered as web application security issues because they allow malicious hacker to gather relevant information which can be used later in the attack lifecycle. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this module. Today, in this tutorial, we are going to see live practical of CSRF attack on inflectra.com. So let's see the same. So over here, we will be changing user account password and other information. So let's first see the inflectra.com site. I have opened this website on Google Chrome. And we have made two accounts. One is Ankit1. Let me show you. This account I have opened in Mozilla Firefox. This is the Ankit1. And the other account is Akash Singh 1, which I have opened in Google Chrome. As you can see over here. So now just follow my instructions. Over here in Mozilla Firefox, we'll change password of Ankit's account. Let me first insert my password, then we'll change to the new password. Also just let me check once what network proxy I'm using. Okay, it's no proxy. Okay, over here it's saying the new password cannot be the same as the old one. So let's change. Just let me delete this. Yeah. So now let me just change to new password. Now let's change our proxy setting to manual proxy so that we can intercept the request of burp suite. Let's turn on intercept. Now let's capture this request, change password. Okay, so this is the request, password and current password. Let's right click, engagement tool, generate CSRF POC. Let's copy HTML. Now we'll paste this HTML of Ankit Singh's ID, which we have opened in Mozilla Firefox. this is the attacker one and Akash Singh is the user one. Okay, so first we are changing the password of Ankit's ID, the attacker one. Let's delete this. Now let's paste our HTML request. We have copied this and we have pasted over here. Okay, so now let's save this file. We'll open it in Google Chrome. Okay, if you'll see over here, Akash Singh ID is open in Google Chrome. That is the user. So we are attacker, we are attacking user. Now let's submit request. As you can see, your password was successfully changed, and over here the ID is Akash Singh and we generated POC of Ankit Singh, the other, that was the attacker email. As you can see over here, it's Ankit's ID. Let's see, let's turn off the intercept, and again let's go to network proxy as no proxy, so that we can see more changes that we can make in Ankit Singh account, so that we can reflect changes in Akash account. So what we'll do over here, let me tell you, just a second. Yeah, now what we will do, we will change the first name from Ankit to hacker. We will perform this. Now let me input other details as well. Okay, so it's not accepting this address. Let me put a valid address over here. Let's type Meerut and city Varanasi, anything over here. Okay, postal code can be this. Okay, so before changing, we'll go back to manual proxy and intercept the request. Let's turn on the intercept and let's see what we have changed. Okay, now let's submit changes. Okay, let's forward this one, and yeah, this is our request. We'll just right click, engagement tools, generate CSRF POC, same procedure, copy HTML. Now let's open this, edit with notepad, and over here we'll delete this. Let's delete this one as well and paste our HTML request. Okay, save as index.html. Now we'll again open this. Oh, mistakenly I clicked on edit. Yeah, we'll open it in Google Chrome. Okay, as you can see, we'll update profile. Let's see if the first name has been changed to hacker or not after submitting request of Akash IDs. Let's submit request. Voila, the name has been changed to hacker Kaise Singh. Though it was Akash Kaise Singh, now it has been changed to hacker Kaise Singh. So that's all for this video. Thanks a lot for watching this tutorial. Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this module. Today in this tutorial we are going to see live practical of sensitive information disclosure. So this is the website that we are going to use in this tutorial. Let's first navigate to this website, that is opcao.imb. It's some Portuguese website. Let's change the language. Now let's navigate to some page. So we have navigated to real estate rental. Now let's paste this URL and see what response do we get. As you can see over here, we have got an error, and this error is providing us some sensitive information, also providing us some path, and the same error is being repeated multiple times. Even if we are scrolling down, we are able to see the same error again and again. Now let's delete PHP error part and hit enter. So we have been able to access some files over here, which seems to be a bit sensitive. Now let's go one directory backward. Okay, there are more files. Now let's try going two directory backwards. Over here, if you can see that we have admin directory. So if we'll go over there, we'll be able to extract sensitive information. So this is how we extract sensitive information via a small error in the website. So that's all for this video. Thanks a lot for watching this tutorial. Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this module. Today, in this tutorial, we are going to see live practical of session fixation attack. Over here, we will be making use of one important Chrome extension, and that is edit this cookie. What this extension will do, it will basically copy the existing cookies of this page so that we can save the cookies and use them later. So let's see the same. So first let's reload this page. As you can see over here, I have already logged in. So what I will do, I will just click on this extension and export, and I'll paste the cookies in notepad file. Now let's log out from this account. As you can see, we have successfully logged out from this account. Now what we will do, we will import cookies, and before that we will delete the existing cookies. Now we will copy the just copied cookies, Ctrl A, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Now let's tick again. Now let's reload this page, and after reloading we should be logged in. If session fixation attack works over here. My internet is a bit slow, so let's wait. Voila! We have successfully logged in and performed session fixation attack over here. So that's all for this video. Thanks a lot for watching this tutorial.
Hello friends, welcome to another tutorial of this program. In this tutorial, we will be starting off with a new module, and that is brute force attack. So what is brute forcing? A brute force attack is a trial and error method used by application program to decode encrypted data such as passwords or DES keys. DES stands for Data Encryption Standard through exhaustive efforts using brute force rather than employing intellectual strategies. A hacker may use a brute force attack to obtain access to a website and account, then steal data, shut the website down, and execute another type of attack. The parameters may be usernames, passwords, authentication token, sequential values, receipt number, tracking numbers, or anything that can be hacked to gain access or to either steal crucial information. Brute forcing is of two types. One, dictionary based brute forcing, and another is logical brute forcing. Now let's see what is dictionary based brute forcing. The brute forcing attacks are generally for targeting parameters like usernames or password. So in this, the hacker usually creates a list of most commonly used passwords and usernames, which are also referred to as dictionary. That's why we call it dictionary attack. And over here we use burp intruder for this attack. What is logical brute forcing? It takes place where there are sequential values, IDs, OTPs, etc. It starts from external logic to determine which password variation may be most likely to succeed, and then continues with a simple approach to try many possible variations. Over here also we use burp intruder for this attack. That's all for today. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this program. In this tutorial, we will talk about how we can perform brute force attack in a testing environment. So, over here it's asking for username and password. As we know that the login credentials of DVWL app is admin as username and password as its password. If I enter these credentials, I will be logged in. Now, imagine that you are trying this vulnerability in a website while doing bug hunting, as you must not be knowing the password, so how you can brute force in login forums for the same. Today, we will do the same via burp suite. For example, let's enter username as A1 and password as 123. Now let's intercept this request in burp suite. So you can see over here that it's a get based request and username and password are being passed in this request. Now right click and send this request to intruder, as this is where we can perform brute force attack. Now go to positions. First of all, clear all the positions from here. Now double click this and add one over here and one over here. For this, we will be using cluster bomb, as there are two payloads, and in cluster bomb, when we input our payload list for payload set 1 and for payload set 2, that is, username is equal to this is payload set 1 and password is equal to this is payload set 2. So what happens in cluster bomb is that it will brute force all the payloads of payload set 1 with payload set 2 and check what all payloads are working. So there are two options of inputting payload over here. One is by adding manually and one is by loading a txt file where there is a complete list of payloads. But over here we will add manually. Let's give one admin. Next will be user. Then we can give admin 1, user 1 and AAA. So this was for the usernames, and the second list is of passwords. Let's give one correct password, that is password. Second one is this. Third one is QWERTY. Then we can add 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's start the attack. Over here, if you can see that payload count is 4 and request count is 20, because in payload set 1 we have 5 payloads and 5 multiplied by 4 turns out to be 20. That's why the request count will be 20, as it will be checking with each and every payload. And now let's start the attack. The attack has been finished, but how will you determine that which among these is the correct credential? So over here you can see that if I look at the length of admin and password section, it is 4736, which is different from the rest. Except this, all the other results have the same length. So from this I can figure out that admin and password is the correct credential for my DVWL app. Now let's check it again. Voila! We have successfully able to brute force this login forum. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of this module. Today, in this tutorial, we are going to do a live practical on OTP bypass via brute force. So let's see the same. Now over here we'll enter our city name, Delhi, and enter the mobile phone number. And other details as well. Let's hit submit, and now as we are logged in, now it's asking for OTP. So let me write. What we'll do, we'll enter any random 4-digit OTP, let's say 1234, and intercept our request via burp suite. Let's enter this only. Let's run on the intercept.
It's not verifying. Let me enter again. Yeah, now let's verify. So what we'll do, we'll send this to intruder. Over here, we'll clear all positions and select only OTP password position, add. Then we'll go to payloads. Now over here, I'll add manually. Though I have the original OTP, still I'll add few with the correct OTP. Now let's start the attack. Over here, the one payload with different length is the correct OTP. Let me write it. The length of actual OTP changes drastically. It is 2650. Let's turn off the intercept. Now let's enter our OTP. That is 2650. As you can see, we have successfully logged in by bypassing OTP via brute force. So that's how we perform brute force attack. Thanks a lot for watching this video.